Welcome back to another video. It's been a while. So let's recap the past couple weeks and give you guys a little update. So the last video I made was my story with 24.1 and essentially trying my best to do whatever I can in the CrossFit Open. I haven't given you guys an update for 24.2 or 24.3, in part because, to be honest, I just had a lack of motivation. The good part is I've been working a lot, and so that's taken up a lot of my time, but it's distracted me from making these kinds of videos, which, to be honest with you, has kept me not as accountable as I thought it was going to be. I started making these videos to keep me accountable for my journey in recovery, and unfortunately, I've been lacking on making content, not only for myself, but also for potentially somebody else who's going through a similar surgery. So let me catch you guys up. The Open wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Like I said in the beginning of these, I didn't know / I didn't think I was going to be doing the Open at all. Come 24.1, I thought I was going to be able to pretty much assess and do what I could do in regards to the CrossFit Open. So 24.1, I did every single movement with my right arm. So that was all dumbbell snatches on the right side and then single arm burpees, which was actually pretty funny to watch. If you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out. 24.2 came out, and that one was a bit more challenging, I would say, for me. It was 20 minutes of a 300-meter row, deadlifts at 185, and 50 double unders. Not a whole lot that I could do. Funnily enough, I was able to kind of do single arm rows. So I sat in the rower, yoke with one hand, and basically just rode like that with one arm. And then I moved to do deadlifts with the dumbbell with one arm. So I did 95-pound deadlifts with my right arm. So just pulling it from the floor, keeping this shoulder kind of stabilized and just kind of locked in, not moving. Because I can't jump still, it's still a slightly unstable when like that jostling movement. So my doctors don't want me to jump. And so I couldn't do double unders, I couldn't do jumping jacks. So I did step back lunges instead. And I'm not gonna say the times were comparable at all. I did 200 meters on the rower because I was rowing at a significantly slower pace, obviously with one arm. Deadlifts with a single dumbbell is very different than deadlifts with a barbell. And step back lunges are also very different than double unders. So my time is not comparable, my rounds were not comparable, but I did be able to get a round every 2 minutes. So I was in my 10th round for that workout, which personally I was proud of. 24.3 was a workout on paper that I feel like would have been my jam. As a former gymnast, as someone who is relatively strong, thrusters are a pretty easy movement for me as I'm shorter and I have a pretty good strong base in my legs. Last year in the Open, I thrustered 247 and it felt really easy. I think I just ran out of time, so couldn't add any more weight to that one. So a 135-pound thruster is moderate in weight, and so it wouldn't have bogged me down as much. The workout itself, if you guys don't know, was 5 rounds of 10 thrusters at 95 pounds and 10 chest to bar pull-ups. After 5 rounds of that, you rest a minute and you do 5 more rounds of 7 thrusters at 135 and 7 bar muscle ups. That first part, if you know anything about CrossFit, is essentially an elevated Fran. My Fran time is 212. It's one of the workouts that I probably won't do often just because of how bad it hurts, but it is a workout that I am relatively good at. Again, short levers, former gymnast, pretty strong with the barbell. So Fran is kind of right up my alley. Moving into that second part, bar muscle ups, I much prefer than ring muscle ups. Before my injury, could string 18 to 20 muscle ups almost every time I hopped up on a bar. Again, coming from my gymnastics days, that was a very simple way to get up on top of the bar. That's just how we did it. So I feel like that workout would have been great for me pre-surgery. Now, post-surgery, obviously I can't do barbell thrusters, I can't do muscle ups, I can't even do pull-ups right now. So what do? I chose to do a 45-pound dumbbell, single arm thrusters for the first part, and single arm ring rows. Again, trying to stabilize my core, put my feet right under the rings to make it slightly challenging, and pull up to my chest here. Rest a minute after those 5 rounds, increase the weight of the dumbbell to 70 pounds and do 70-pound dumbbell thrusters. And then I put my feet in front of the rings and I used essentially a strict pull, pretty much just slightly vertical, to emulate a muscle up on the ring rows with my right arm, and finish that style of the workout, that variation of the workout, in I think it was 11:22. Again, very different than the prescribed workout as it was in the open, but for me at least, I was still working out. It gave me a sense of confidence that even though I didn't sign up this year, I couldn't do the workouts, I was able to adapt and do the workouts to an extent where I could. That being said, I am looking back at all the workouts. I feel like I would have confidently made quarterfinals. I would have been hopefully in the top probably 3,000 to 4,000 in the world. Moving on into quarterfinals, sitting pretty good. So it's unfortunate. I felt before my surgery, I was in the best shape of my life. I was competing really well, and I was hitting PRs in all of my lifts. This is just a minor setback, right? So now back to where I am now in my recovery. I had PT the other day, and as you can tell, I'm pretty active and mobile with my left arm now. I'm able to do a lot more than I was in the past. Obviously, as the weeks go by, the more PT that I do at home, the stronger this arm gets. So I'm gonna show you guys a general workout that I do with the bands that PT has prescribed to me that I'll do every single day, regardless if I'm doing a isolated leg day for my workout of the day or an arm day. I'll hit these movements every single day as PT for my shoulder, regardless of what other things I'm doing that day. So a lot of my PT is banded movements. I'm progressing now into lightweight dumbbells on some external rotations of my arm here as I'm laying down on my side, bracing my arm to my hip and bringing that arm up to try to get as vertical as possible with a 1 to 5 pound weight. And I'm also cleared to do some now bicep curls with a 1 to 5 pound weight as well. Those are some really cool things that I'm implementing into my daily routine for PT, and I'm able to see a lot of results there, which is super encouraging. The other thing that I'm noticing is my range of motion is becoming increasingly better. I don't know if you can see, I'm not quite vertical, but I'm getting to the point of like, hey, I'm reaching up to the sky. I can grab things off a shelf without a whole lot of pain. And my limiting factor there is not pain. It's just, it feels like a rubber band is just being stretched. And if I push a little bit too hard, it may just pop. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want to re-injure the shoulder. I don't want to push it too hard, but I do want to be able to do some movements as much as possible and try to push the limits there to increase that range of mobility, increase that range of motion. So once I do get back into, whether it's doing pull-ups, whether it's doing some kind of snatch, some kind of high pull, something that is externally or internally rotating on my shoulder, that I'm not feeling constricted in those ligaments. So I watch a lot of Savan's podcast and Andrew Hiller's content, and one of their biggest supporters for their shows respectively is CA peptides. And I've had a lot of questions about peptides and whether it's PRP use or stem cells or anything to kind of help regenerative healing. And I pulled the trigger. Let me be very honest with you guys. I bought some BBC 157 and a TB 500 blend, as well as another peptide that is gonna help with tissue and ligament repair. So that'll get shipped out here next week. And if that's something you guys are interested in, I will show my process in taking peptides. I know Andrew Hiller has content around that, and I'll be kind of following that pretty closely, but I'll show you my perspective and my way of doing it. It's probably gonna be very similar, just to rehydrating and reconstituting the water with the peptide itself and injecting it with the syringe. So I'll keep you guys updated on what that looks like, feels like, and how it affects my recovery process. Again, I'm very new to this world. I don't know much about it, but I've done a lot of research to an extent where I have a general idea of, hey, this is beneficial to me to at least try. There's not a whole lot of negative research or negative signs on the effects of peptides. So we're gonna try it out. If it helps, wonderful. If it doesn't, there's no harm in it. So I'll keep you guys updated on that side of recovery. As you can tell right now, I am a bit smaller on the left side of my arm. I've only been working out my right arm, shoulder, and chest and back right now. So I'm hoping that in these next coming weeks, I'm able to lift a little bit more weight here on the right side and start building up musculature on the left side of my body so that I can even out and be a bit more symmetrical in my muscles. Again, this is a long process, and I'm having to continually remind myself that this is a process. So thank you guys for following along. I know I'm no YouTuber that is rich and famous or successful in this space, but it does give me an outlet to share my thoughts and keeps me accountable to work out and continually try to get better. So I appreciate it. Catch you later.